So let's talk about saying no. Why is it difficult? Well, for many of us, we have gone through our lives and we have learned that to say no to people is being mean. To say yes equals being kind and generous. Well, that's true in some regards and not so true in other regards. So, yes, it is wonderful to be able to help people out. And yes, it is nice to be generous and it feels good most of the time to be able to give and to help. And to be clear, I'm never suggesting that it's not a good thing to be kind, to be generous, to be helpful. Those are good things. The problem comes in when you're doing it to your own detriment. The problem comes in when you are no longer prioritizing you and taking care of yourself. So, yeses are great, but no's are sometimes necessary. So, what does that look like? First of all, it's not always a bad thing to say no because you only have so much of yourself to give. So, you have a limited amount of energy, you have a limited amount of time, hours in the day, you have a limited amount of money, you have a limited amount of just about everything, right? So if you don't prioritize the usage of those things, eventually they will be depleted. Just like putting gas in your car, if you continue to drive and drive and drive and don't prioritize refilling your tank, your car will eventually stall out or just stop running. You'll be on the side of the road because you've utilized all of the resource that was the gas that you put in your car. This is the same thing with your physical body, with your mental body, with your resources in general. You only have so much to give before you need to refuel. So, if you're constantly saying yes to the extra hours at work, yes to the PTA, yes to the cupcakes that your daughter wants, yes to the phone call that your friend needs to talk about the drama, eventually you run out of energy. And when you do, give all those yeses to other people, then you're taking away from the things that you need. So if you say yes all day long to those people, what is getting taken away? You don't have time to, I don't know, read the book you wanted to read. You don't have time to take the walk or go to the gym. You don't have time to, I don't know, hang out with your spouse. There's a number of things that you may be missing out on if you're constantly saying yes to other people. Now, there is a way to figure out what to say yes to and what to say no to. And it really does come down to you understanding what your values are. You taking a moment, well, several moments, to really sit down and really decide what is important to me right now. And it changes, in different phases of your life, it likely will look very different. So if you are right now a mom with young kids, if you are, newly married, if you are single, it just depends on where you are in life. Your priorities, your values may look very different than they did at one point or another. Nevertheless, you sitting down, spending some time with you, and just really deciding, where am I right now? What matters to me right now? Do I want to go for that big promotion? Do I want to make sure I'm, locked into time with my friends, time with my family? Whatever it is, you prioritize it. And you can make a list of maybe 3 to 5 things and decide what those things are. They don't necessarily have to be in order, but you do want to get a pretty solid list. So 3 to 5, if you're feeling ambitious, you can do a little more, but I wouldn't overwhelm yourself with that list just yet. So just figuring out what are my really important top 3 things that I want to be doing right now. Once you understand what those things are, then you take a look at your life and you start to pay attention to where your time is going. So if you're really invested in working on your marriage, let's say, but you find that you're spending overtime at work, you are locked into doing extra tasks for a coworker who's, behind on a project, you're helping out there because it feels good, or you're at the church and you're doing, extra, I don't know what, choir practices or whatever you might be doing. Those things sound like maybe they don't align with your goals. So if you are maybe with your kid and it's their senior year and you really want to prioritize being there with them before they go to college, then perhaps you shouldn't be spending so much of your time hanging out with your girlfriends or whatever the case may be. So really paying attention to A, what's important to me right now, what are my priorities right now, and B, where am I actually spending my time? In this way, you can figure out where you might need to start implementing some no's, where you might need to start letting some people know that, hey, I'm not going to be available this Tuesday. I have some things I need to take care of, and give people enough time to make other plans. But after you do that, then your time is yours, and that's perfectly okay to do. Let people know if you can. Try not to make it at the last minute so they have time to make some other arrangements, but start to pull back in areas where you've been overextending yourself. You have 100% the right to say no and take care of what you need to take care of, or take care of what you want to take care of. If you know that you haven't been taking good care of your health, then it's time for you to start saying, no, I can't stay after for work, or I can't stay after to do whatever is being requested of you. And sometimes that can be difficult because sometimes it's the people closest to us. Sometimes it's family members, but people are capable and people adjust. They're just waiting for you to put your boundaries in place. Once you start saying, this is no longer acceptable for me, or this is no longer working for me, then people will adjust and they will be absolutely fine. Outside of a very young child who is not able to take care of their own needs, there's very few instances where anybody who's not able to take care of their own needs, let's say a child, an elderly person, someone who's disabled in some way. Outside of those types of situations, people are very capable. And maybe that looks like something you hadn't considered. Maybe your kid has cereal for dinner tonight. They'll be okay. Cereal's fortified. They'll be fine this one night. So maybe you cook 4 times a week instead of 5. And maybe you take that one night to yourself. There are lots of ways to go about it, but I just want you to start to think, 1, what are my values? 2, where am I giving my time and energy to? And that way you can start to see where some adjustments can be made. I hope this makes sense to you. There are many ways to go about starting to make some changes in your life. It doesn't need to be a grand gesture. You don't need to start shutting down and, nobody's asking you to quit your job or suggesting that, nobody's asking you to tell your boss off or, quit the PTA or stop going to church. Keep the things that you enjoy doing. Keep the things that are important to you, but making some slight tweaks in a way that allows you to just start getting some of your time back. Just start shifting some things and prioritizing what's really important to you. And I think you'll be amazed at what can be done with some tiny little tweaks. So find out what's important to you, find out where your time is going, and then start to make some tiny shifts. Maybe once a week, you just say, no, I'm not going to be available this time. See how it feels. Let me know. Thanks. Bye.